This should go without saying, but I can't tell you how many times I have met people who have just signed a contract without reading thoroughly and understanding what the impacts of the contract are, or even without changing clauses they don't agree with. Always read a contract before signing. Firstly, this doesn't constitute legal advice, and everything covered in this video is general experience and not necessarily applicable to your situation. Now, if you ever hear someone say that, it's for a reason, because you should be getting legal advice from an expert in the area before signing any contract, and at the very least, you should understand everythine you are agreeing to. If it's written in a contract, you can be legally held to it. The grey area to this is clauses that are hidden in fine print or not in line with what's allowed by law, which might be your only saving grace if you've signed a contract that doesn't suit your needs. But again, you would need a lawyer to determine your situation. One thing I have been amazed with is when friends have told me they have either signed or were going to sign a contract, and after signing, they plan to negotiate the terms. This is a very backwards way to go about it. Before you sign anything, you should understand the implications of all the clauses, especially on major contracts. Understand that before you sign, everything can be negotiated. Just because a business might say this is our standard terms doesn't mean you have to accept that. They obviously don't have to accept your proposed changes. However, you are at least able to try and negotiate them. Especially when you are committing to something major, there's always flexibility, and if it requires a large commitment from you, then you should be ensuring the contract suits what you want. The last thing you want is a clause that leaves you in a bad position if an unlikely scenario occurs, and then that unlikely scenario does occur and now you're stuck with a massive bill. Obviously, this is also a value proposition for you. If you're buying an item for $10, $100, probably even $1,000, you are not going to want to spend an excessive time negotiating terms, unless there's something ridiculous in there, in which case it's probably best to not go ahead with the agreement. However, what you are willing to walk away from is up to you. But what we are talking about is major purchases, business agreements, even employment contracts, large investments such as property and so on. A common issue occurs when a salesperson or a negotiator or an agent or even a HR manager, when going through the hiring process, tells you one thing and what they tell you is either contradicted in the contract or the contract says something completely different. Before I say this once again, this isn't legal advice and individual circumstances vary. You might in some cases be able to try to make a case that you were misled. However, even in that case, you have to rely on your word against theirs. However, they also have the fact it's written in the contract which you've signed and therefore agreed to in writing. An example of this is real estate, where you buy an apartment or condo that's in a building that hasn't been built yet. There are plans for gardens and outdoor entertainment areas. In some cases, the contracts are worded that these are not in fact guaranteed. And once the first building is constructed, they happen to decide to build a new tower where the outdoor areas were meant to be. Another example is in an employment agreement that might state your job entails doing particular tasks which are different to what you expected, or the hours are different to what you were told. This stuff can be clarified. It might be that they used a template or forgot to change it. It could be an innocent mistake, but it makes no sense to sign something that isn't what you were expecting. Another problem can occur where you have a business deal with someone within a company and you both understand a verbal agreement, but it's different to the contract that's provided. This can become a problem if that person leaves and someone new comes in. You could even be in a situation where for a year you operate in one way because your contact had agreed to that despite what the contract says, and now their replacement reads the contract and wants to change the expectations. In the previous example of working hours, your current manager might say you can work different hours to your contract, but they might move on and leave the company. Then the new manager comes in and then decides that they want you to work the other hours. Now you are stuck in a situation where the new manager is asking you to follow what's in the contract, an issue that could have been resolved if you had addressed it prior to signing the agreement. Many people skip seeking professional legal advice because lawyers are seen as expensive, which initially a lawyer might sound expensive, but the cost to understand all the ramifications of the terms will be much less than the legal costs to fight a court case if you've signed a contract that states you're liable for something you shouldn't be, especially if it's a deal that has large implications for you personally, your business, or your finances. The messages we want to get across is that whatever is written in the contract, you can be held to legally. So understand what a contract says before signing and get legal advice before doing so. If you have issues with terms, then I suggest you watch our videos on negotiating, which can be applied when you have a contract you want to negotiate the terms on. Let us know your worst contract example in the comments. And if you enjoyed this, chuck us a like and subscribe for more videos like it.